side, from the personal, it looks good. We have we had a few injured players, except for Angelino. Everybody is back in training. Angelino had a muscle injury. I already talked about it. It's a structure with many movements. It doesn't make any problems, but with shots on the goal and crosses, well, there would be maybe too much risk that he could be injured for a longer time. That's not really 100% sure, but that's why we decided to not let him play, to let him play after the international matches. Until then, he's allowed to heal that structure, and hopefully he's back at 100%. Then Willy, he he had surgery. He has a special construction to be able to play. We don't know how long he can play. We will decide that tomorrow. It depends on how he's feeling. The surgery was just a few days ago, so it's quite stressful for the player. We will still talk about that, but theoretically he could play. Otherwise, all players are fit. Everybody is hopefully in a good mood and hopefully up for good performance. Okay, thank you very much. Now to your questions. Good day, Mr. Nagelsmann. Normally I wanted to ask a question concerning the match, but now we just learned that Joachim Low will stop as national coach. What do you think about that? Yeah, I was surprised about that message. I'm not surprised that it's the first question on this press conference. Of course, it's a sad message, but he's still in his office. He will still play this next tournament. He had a big impact on the German football. He had many successes, and I think he marked a whole period of German football with titles and well, he had two changes in his whole period where he is or was in office. The first one he crowned it with a title, and the second one is taking place right now. So I think he created a team that is competitive. And I think he took the right decisions in important moments. Of course, he was criticized also for that. And all in all, I think he had a great career as national coach, and I hope he will have a glorious final. And then I'm really excited to see what will be his next career step. Good day, Mr. Nagelsmann. Now I want to talk about the match against Liverpool. You changed a few things. The last training is taking place in Leipzig. What are you hoping of those changes, and what effect will this have on the team? Well, there's no mystical background. It's just about that we already know the stadium in Budapest, as we already played there, and now we already know a few things, how we do that over there. We, for example, we save one way to the stadium and back from the stadium, and like that we can save 40 minutes. We can train. We already know the conditions over there, and that was the main reason, just to save some time from the airport to the hotel, to be more focused on such an important game.
Auch ein Hallo in die Runde zunächst mal. Ich möchte wissen, inwieweit das die Spielidee verändert, wenn man plötzlich zwei funktionierende Stürmer ins Rennen schicken kann mit Sorloth und Pausen. Im Hinspiel sah das ganz anders aus. Da hatten sie keinen klassischen Stürmer auf dem Feld. Auch vor dem Hintergrund, dass die Innenverteidigung von Liverpool noch nicht so sattelfest
also
auch in den letzten Spielen nicht war.
that the center backs of Liverpool weren't that stable in the last time. Of course, as a coach, it's always great to have many alternatives. I hope that our offensive players well, they had in the last 3 weeks a big influence on the success, and of course I hope they will even be better. Of course, that's an option for tomorrow. We have to make up 2 goals tomorrow, so we have to take a little bit of risk too, not too much, but still, if we want to advance, we have to score 3 goals. Maybe it would be also extra time and penalties, so we actually really need those 3 goals. So yeah, that's changing a little bit. We have to take a little bit of risk. We have to attack in order to make up those 2 goals without being too naive, without opening the whole defense. And of course, we have to secure our own goal. But of course, it's nice that we have more options and that we can still substitute. And we have strikers who are self-confident. The quality was the same 3 weeks ago, but I think the self-confidence changed. And you can see that when a player plays with self-confidence, it's differently on the pitch. You can see still the same quality, but it's about keeping the ball, the possession, and yeah, you can see it. Alex showed it, and that's why we have more options now. Yes, hello to everybody. One question about the fans. Tomorrow, it's 1 year ago that you played the last time in front of the fans. When you look in hindsight at this strange times, are you already used to matches without fans? Well, lastly, you don't have a choice and you have to get used to it. Of course, it's nicer to play with fans. Everybody misses the fans, but we are happy that we can still do our profession, that we can still play football. So I don't want to complain and I don't want to be too sad. But of course, it's always nicer playing in front of the fans. Also with all those emotional moments last year where we had to play without fans in the Champions League semifinals and so on, we couldn't celebrate with the fans. Or now I'm thinking about the match against Gladbach where we scored the winning goal in the 93rd minute. Of course, it would have been more emotional with the fans in-house, but well, that's the way it is. So now we hope that the fans are coming back as fast as possible into the stadia, because that will make football more emotional. And on the other hand, it would show that we fought well against the pandemic. That would be a very nice moment, not only for the football supporters, but for every human being. Mr. Nagelsmann, how much did you think about other stories where teams made up a few goals in the past? Did you watch any videos about any other matches, or isn't that any topic at all? No, that's not a topic at all. We didn't prepare any analytics, or we didn't prepare a motivational video, because those matches don't have any influence on our own match. I think every player, all the boys know that crazy moments can happen, that it always happened every now and then, that the team made up a few goals. Of course, we know that it's a difficult task, and also we are not talking about the results of Liverpool. We lost the first leg. Right now, we are still on the losing side of this first and second leg. So for us, it's not really important if Liverpool lost against, I don't know, Everton or Fulham. That's really not important for us. We have the necessary respect for Liverpool because we lost the first game, and we will do everything to not lose the second leg. Mr. Nagelsmann, in the professional football, it's always about performance and not pity. But when you see Liverpool, what do you think about all that? What can such a run of defeats do with a team? Yes, of course, it always does anything. Of course, they were more self-confident when they won, I think, 58 games in a row. Of course, this is a difficult phase for this team, but still, they're a world-class team. It's one of the top world-class coaches, Jurgen Klopp, this weekend. I think he said it's his worst period, worst phase as a coach, but nonetheless, he already mastered some crises. And I think they still have a chance to win the match. Of course, that wouldn't be very nice for us, but to answer your question, well, they always created chances in all the matches that they lost, and maybe they weren't cool enough in front of the goal, and maybe they weren't self-confident. For example, there was Van Dijk, who sometimes scored the first goal. Joe Gomez is missing, so they really have bad luck also with injuries. So there's a lot of details that are coming together, and sometimes then you're going down a little bit and you can't win the matches. But again, we're not looking at their defeats because actually right now we're still on the losing side. Of course, I feel for Jurgen and for Liverpool. It's a very hard time, of course, when especially when you're used to being successful with everything that comes into it, with emotions, the titles, the success. And then, of course, a period like that is really hard to go through. But I think the players are really too good and the coach too, so they will get out of it. Good morning, coach. Emil Forsberg almost scored a goal against Gladbach at Freiburg. He scored a goal. He seems to be on a good way. With which of his qualities he could hurt Liverpool? Well, on one side, he has a lot of experience in the national team, but also in the clubs with his quality to play between the lines. In Gladbach, he introduced the goal. He scored against Freiburg with a great goal, which was not really easy to score on a technical side. Well, from the axis of the ball, you could exactly see where it goes into the goal. It was really a great goal. Yesterday, he had a good training. I'm still not decided who's going to be in the starting lineup, but of course he has qualities where he sees the free spaces and everything, so he can always add something to the success of the team. But I'm still not decided. I will do that tonight or tomorrow morning. Well, the image only shows our coach, Julian Nagelsmann. Maybe some of you forgot that there's also our player, Tyler Adams. I'm asking one question to you.
League. This time you came from the bench. At the moment, you are starting 11 players. So how would you describe your development in this month or more than half a year?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this past year has been very important for my development. Obviously, when I came to the club, I picked up an injury and that kept me out for quite a bit of time. So it's taken me, longer than I expected to find my form. But I've had to be patient. And I think that now when I was given, my opportunity, I was just able to take it. And now, playing with confidence is obviously a very important thing, especially in such a quality side. We have so many quality players and, on any given day, we can change the lineup, change the personnel, and still be effective. So the fact that I'm able to have an influence on the team is obviously important, and I want to keep in that good form.
Thank you. Next question, nächste Frage. Gernot Clement, Stats Perform.
Ja, hallo in die Runde, hallo Herr Nagelsmann.
Hello to everybody. Mr. Nagelsmann, you already talked about your strikers who are in top form. Christopher Nkunku also has a top form. He participated in 7 goals during the last weeks. I would like to know, what did you do with him that he had such an explosion? Because Didier Deschamps could call him soon, no? Well, with Christo, it's always about tickling out his talents. When he came from Paris to us, he had a great first 6 months. He scored around 10 goals. Then the second half time of the championship wasn't that great, but he has great qualities. He's an exceptional player. He has a lot of speed. He has lots of ideas. He has very good shots on the goal. Sometimes in our conversations, I have to remind him of his qualities, that he's really a good player, because at the end of the day, football doesn't always have to look great, but all the players who are on the pitch, they have to perform and bring their qualities on the pitch. So Christo always needs to know that it's about efficiency on the pitch. And last weeks after his injury, he played a great second half against Wolfsburg. So he's back. He's way more active in the play, in the match. And I think he's back on his performance from the first half year in our club. And you can see when he's in top form, when he's fit, when he knows that he's playing for the result, he has a great impact on our play. And the better Christo is, the better we are. He's one of the great offensive players we have, and hopefully he'll continue like that in the next weeks. Hello, Mr. Nagelsmann. Hello, Tyler. It's a question for the coach, sorry. Mr. Nagelsmann, the game plays again in Budapest, so there is no advantage of playing home or away. And it feels like one match, actually, where now we're in the halftime. Which influence does it have on your preparation for the match that there are no soft factors like being away, being at home? There's no influence. It didn't have any influence on the first leg. As I said, since 12 months, we are used to that situation. And so tomorrow it won't be that surprising that there won't be any Liverpool supporters. We know that. We are focused on the result from the first leg. We are focused on the lessons we learned from the first leg, the two mistakes from the 2 goals, but there were also a few other things that we could have made better. So it's all about bringing a good performance on the pitch tomorrow to win the game, and then we see if it's enough to advance. We believe in us. As I said, even if Liverpool doesn't perform so good in their league, we're still not the favorite. We are the challenger, and we want to be as strong as possible.
Ja, hallo in die Runde. Frage an Herrn Nagelsmann und auch an Tyler.
Question to Mr. Nagelsmann and Tyler Adams.
Ich nehme an, auch Ihnen ist korrigieren Sie mich da gerne, bei der Spielvorbereitung aufgefallen, man braucht ja jetzt 2 Tore. Ist ja klar, dass
I reckon, excuse me, I don't understand it really. It's important to score those goals, and teams like FC Bayern or Liverpool concede goals because their defense line is very high. So what does it mean for players like Tyler Adams to be even more aggressive? Well, of course, there are moments where Liverpool defends with a high line because the offensive team, it's in our team, it's the same. But there were also moments where they stood very deeply, very narrow with a 4 flat defense. And I know the players of Liverpool and also the coach, they train everything what exists in football. They train all phases, so there are moments where they will defend more deeply. There will be other moments where they will press higher. So, of course, it's important to have a flexible defense. But in the first leg, it was the same, and we didn't use that chance. I think that both teams are active when they are in possession of the ball, but also when they don't have the ball. So, of course, it's about to control the spaces behind the defense. And I think the team which will manage that better than the other will have more success than the other.
You want to say something to this question?
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool, they have so many different ways of playing. It's not easy to predict exactly what they're going to do, but they're a team that has an offensive style of play, an aggressive style of play. And when we can use that to our advantage, which we showed a couple glimpses of in the first leg, then we're going to be able to create chances and score goals.
Javier Cáceres für die Süddeutsche Zeitung stellt die nächste Frage.
Yeah, one question for Tyler Adams and eine Frage noch an Herrn Nagelsmann. Tyler, I would like to know what's if you could describe the evolution of the game of RB Leipzig compared to last year. What are the main differences and how much of an impact did it have that Timo Werner, such a dominant figure in the last seasons, left the squad? Und Herr Nagelsmann, Entschuldigung, dass ich nochmal den Bogen schlage zur Ausgangsfrage.
And to Mr. Nagelsmann,
Wäre Ihr morgiger Rivale ein guter Kandidat für den Nationalmannschaftsposten? Und ganz grundsätzlich mal gefragt,
would your opponent tomorrow be a good candidate for the national coach? And what do you think has to be the qualities of the successor of Jurgen Low?
Yeah, so starting with Timo. Of course, Timo had such a big influence on our team. The qualities that he brought to the field are clear and evident. The goals that he contributed with, the deep runs that he would make, and the speed that he brought to the team. He gave us a versatile way of playing. But I think that when Julian first came, we were ironing out the details of the philosophy that he wanted to bring to the club. And I think that this year you're seeing more clearly the versatility that we have in our team now and the different styles of play that we can play depending on the opponent, which I think in the beginning, we weren't quite able to do yet. And when I first came to the club, it was more of, just against the ball. This year, we've added so much possession-based play to our game, and we're able to outplay opponents at a lot of times.
Julian?
Ja, also sehen Sie es mir nach, dass ich die Frage nicht im Detail beantworte, weil wir...
Well, please excuse me that I won't answer that question in detail because we have an important match tomorrow, and frankly, I don't really care right now who will be the national coach, so I don't want to ask that question, to answer that question if someone asks me. Jurgen Klopp, of course, he's an exceptional coach, but I think that Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp are content with their partners. And so I don't know if that's a good question. You should have to ask that to Jurgen. I think DFB has huge personnel, and I think they will think about this question. I'm not part of that stuff at DVB, so it's not me to answer that question.
Der hat sich offenbar verabschiedet. Dann sehe ich kein weiteres Handzeichen.
So I don't see any more hand signs. I'm thankful for your questions.
Ingo Hane von MDR Fernsehen.
There's one more question.
Hak nochmal nach, Ingo, bitte.
Moment, ich will nicht wirklich nochmal hart nachhaken. Hätte mich natürlich auch interessiert, weil ja der Mehmet vorher schon eine Liste aufgestellt, da war Julian Nagelsmann nicht dabei. Hätte mich interessiert, ob er traurig ist.
Mehmet also
was mich viel mehr interessiert ist, inwieweit wir diskutieren ja alle darüber, dass es natürlich schlecht ist, wenn keine Fans im Stadion sind. Andererseits hört man Sie sehr laut coachen. Ich habe das Gefühl, dass die Mannschaft das auch aufnimmt. Inwieweit ist es ein Vorteil für Sie?
But on the other hand, we can always hear you very loudly in your coaching. How much is that an advantage for the team? Well, I would say I'm a very active coach. For some people, maybe too active. I Someone told me in an interview for ARD that I'm really unnerving, but well, I can't change it. That's my job. I can't do otherwise because I'm passionate, and I'm sure that some things won't arrive at my players, but definitely they hear more. But also, I don't expect that everything that I'm saying, that I'm screaming, arrives to the players. It's just about the atmosphere, and some things have to get out. And it's important that everybody gives everything on the pitch. And I think the trainer, the coach, has to act the same way. It doesn't make any sense, in my opinion, just to lay back and sit down and being too slow, too calm. So, well, I don't act. That's how I am. And if not everybody is pleased about my style of coaching, then we're even more glad when the spectators are back in the stadia. So everybody doesn't have to listen to my stuff all the time. Okay, I would still ask about Jogi Löw, Mr. Nagelsmann. You said that you're not part of the staff who decides who will be his successor, and you're not also his successor, to be really frank and concrete?
Das war einfach. Und wir
No.
begrüßen Paul Joyce von der Times UK zurück im Call. Paul Joyce, your question, please.
Question to Tyler Adams. I was just wondering, when you look at Liverpool's run of form, do you think they are a vulnerable team at the moment?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I think that any quality side goes through a bad run of form. It's not always easy to stay at the top of the food chain for a long period of time. You know, for us, we're going to go into this game and we're going to have to play our game in order to win, create chances, score goals. And, you know, coming into this game, we're still the underdog. So, yeah, of course, going through a bad run of form, you know, seems and leaves the perception that you can be vulnerable. But Liverpool knows the task at hand, and we know our task at hand.
And do you feel that the chances you created in the original game gives you confidence that you can create again against this team?
Yeah, absolutely. There's not many games that we've played where we leave the game and think, okay, we didn't create chances. We know that the quality in our attack is very good. So we're going to need, you know, 11 good performances on the day in order to complete the task.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Und die letzte Frage des Tages geht an Javi Casas.
Last question. Mr. Nagelsmann, top teams also need top matches, great matches. Is it such an opportunity for RB Leipzig tomorrow maybe to make up 2 goals against Liverpool? Well, that's something you could call a great match, and what would be recognized not only in Leipzig but also in the rest of the world. Yes, of course, it would be very nice. Last year in Champions League, we also delivered a few matches that were in the direction of a great match. Not everybody expected us to win, and we got the self-confidence from those matches. I think a good mix between great attacking, but also being humble, and having the knowledge that we can win this match. And we know that it's not easy to advance. We don't know that it's not an easy task. Everybody knows that, but I think we have enough self-confidence, and we know that we didn't play that bad in the first leg, but we made those mistakes that led to our defeat. So tomorrow on this level, especially with the task of making up 2 goals, we will put everything on the pitch tomorrow in order to deliver a great game and to win this match. Well, that were great final words. Thank you very much to both of you for your time, and have a nice day.